What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's brew day again. We like to have as many of those as possible, don't we? Today I'm going to be drinking on this franchise 107.7 commercial-free Pilsner lager from Brewcephas. That's a mouthful. I'm not really sure what any of it means except for Pilsner lager, 5.5% alcohol by volume. All right, so I guess they, jeez. Man, can you see that? That's a beautiful beer. I don't know whether these guys partnered with the franchise 107.7, but this is the commercial free Pilsner lager. Let's just see how it is. It's a crispy boil, alright. Cheers, everybody. Hope you're drinking along with me today. Hope you've got your home brew. If not, I've said it many times already. I'm sure I'll say it many more times. A store-bought beer like I have today will work just fine. Okay, really excited about this brew day today. We have something a little bit unique. Seems like every other time I go in the brew shop, I get had by the gallon Brewer's Best craft beer kits. Today, we have a raspberry golden ale. Now, I wouldn't just buy any of these probably. They have to be something that I would enjoy in an extremely small batch. Like if I was gonna do an IPA or something like that, I probably wouldn't do it in a gallon batch because I drink a lot of those. I certainly wouldn't make anything like a Kolsch or a Pilsner or anything like that in a gallon batch. But a raspberry golden ale? Okay, so it's a Belgian strong ale, and the raspberry is gonna come in around bottling time when I pour the natural flavoring in the bottling bucket. So up front, it's gonna have a Belgian strong ale base with specially selected yeast that's gonna create a predominant amount of fruity esters, okay, which I guess pairs well with the all natural raspberry flavoring. Original gravity, 1073 to 1077. This beer is huge. I'm pumped about it. Brewing difficulty, easy. Cool. It's gonna come out to around 8.4 to 8.9% ABV. Really looking forward to this guy. Okay. I went into the brew shop for a new auto siphon and dropped 23, 24 bucks on this little thing. So it happens, you know. But because of that, we can have a brew day. If 25 bucks is all you have to pay to have a brew day, isn't it worth it? Babe, isn't it worth it? Definitely worth it. Okay, so let's open our kit. I haven't had this open yet. We're just gonna fly by the seat of our pants here today. Got some priming sugar. Some bottle caps. All right. Okay, so just to take a little inventory, there's no liquid malt extract in this kit. It's all dry malt extract. We have Pilsen Light, DME. We have Blanc or white soft sugar. That's gonna kick up our original gravity a lot, so. White sugar, that's where that 1077 is gonna come from. Got it. Cute little 3 gram Columbus hops. And Abaye. ABBAYE, Belgian style ale yeast. from L'Allemand. Austria. Ooh. Austria. And then some more Pilsen Light. DME. Not sure where all this is going to come into play yet. And then the priming sugar, I'm probably going to bottle with carb drops, so I'll keep this. And if there's a beer in the future that I want to just kick up a little bit in gravity, I'll toss an ounce of priming sugar in it. That'll give us some alcohol, and then some bottle caps. We can always use those. All right. Oh, and also here's the natural raspberry flavoring. This is the same stuff I ordered of the coconut in the 4 ounce, in a 4 ounce bottle. So, cool. We'll get to this here in a few weeks. All right. So first things first, sanitize. Of course, we already did all of that. You don't have to go too hard sanitizing your boil kettle. I'd rinse it out to get all the dirt and stuff like that out of it. But since we're going to be bringing this to a boil, that's going to sterilize everything. Okay? So, first thing we need to do is pour 1.5 gallons of clean water into the brew pot. 1.5 gallons. Since this is a gallon batch, I'd like to pour more than 1.5 gallons because of boil off. But for that reason, I'm going to avoid a very vigorous boil. I'm just going to keep it to a gentle rolling boil today so I don't lose a lot of volume in there. Okay. This is 1.5 gallons, so we're just going to do it. Four quarts in a gallon, guys. Okay, so there's our 1.5 gallons. Good old H2O. If your water's good enough to drink, it's good enough to brew with. And then from there, oh yeah, we have no specialty grains, so we're not going to put it on medium and steep anything. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So, we're already bringing this thing to a boil. That's great. 1.5 gallons of water. Once this begins to boil, I'm going to come back and add the DME. Till then, let's just get this water up to a boil. Be right back. Alright, folks. So, that looks like a gentle rolling boil to me. What's it look like to you? I think we're going to add our DME. Okay, so it says once we reach the boil, add all of the included DME. So they gave us 2 packets. They gave us 1 pound here and then 4 ounces here. They're both Pilsen Light. We're going to go ahead and add those. Before we do, I'm going to kill the heat because I don't want any of that scorching or burning or toasting on the bottom of the boil kettle. Okay, so we're going to kill the heat. We're going to stir this in as we go, so that way it's not, sitting on the bottom burning. You want to get it in nice and fast though, because it'll clump up on you here in the package. You're probably always going to lose a little bit. Not a big deal. One thing that I've wanted to talk about for a while now is rest in peace, John Prine. I was out here jamming to Chris Christopherson radio during the break while I was waiting for this to come up to a boil. And John Prine came on. It's gonna be a long Monday. We're gonna have a lot of long Mondays without John Prine. tell you that, or at least I am. So many music singers, country music stars, independent indie guys, whoever they are, talk about how John Prine taught him to write songs. Toby Keith said John Prine taught him to really go for it in songwriting. Well, to me, he taught me something far more sentimental than that. He taught me that the souvenirs are internal and the memories that we'll keep for a lifetime. So rest in peace, John. Gonna miss you. Thankfully, we still have your music that'll last us a lifetime. Thank you for those souvenirs, John. So we got that nice and stirred in. Now what we're gonna do, we're going to continue to stir the DME as the wort returns to a gentle rolling boil, okay? So we're doing a 60-minute boil total. Once we get this back to a boil, that'll start the 60 minutes and we'll add our first hop addition. All right. This is the fun part. Just sit out here, listen to your tunes, have you a beer, and kick it. That's why brew days are so awesome. It's great making new beers, but man, enjoying the old but fresh beer as you're doing it, listening to your music, and just watching an afternoon pass before your eyes, slowly but surely. We'll be like desperados waiting for a train here. I can think of worse things. Alright, so we'll bring this back to a boil, we'll add some hops, and then we'll continue from there. See you in a bit. Okay, so we're back at a boil. We've been stirring this in, the DME, pretty continuously. We got our hop break now, the foam's starting to come up. What we're gonna do, time for our 60-minute boil, we're gonna add 5 grams of Centennial hops. Sorry, Columbus hops. Turns out that's all we've got. But there is one 5-gram bag and one 3-gram bag. Okay, so we want to pay attention there. I'm going to turn that heat down a bit because the hot break's coming up. So we're going to add the 5-gram addition of Columbus. In you go. Okay, and that will start our 60 minutes. We're making beer, this is what it looks like, right? Pretty laid back. I'm gonna keep listening to Pandora. We are going to boil this for 50 minutes. And then at the 10-minute mark, we're gonna come back and add our candy sugar. Okay, see you in 50 minutes. Or see you right here after this quick fade. Okay, so we're about 30 seconds from the 10-minute mark when I'm supposed to add these 10 ounces of candy sugar. As you can see, I've maintained a very light, slow rolling boil because I don't want the boil to be too vigorous, or else I fear I'll lose too much water and end up with a very concentrated wort at the end and have to add water to it. And for hop utilization, wort darkening, and all of those reasons, I want this wort that I pour into my fermenter to be enough without adding water to it. Okay? Down to the 10-minute mark, I'm going to add my candy sugar. I am going to cut the flame because I have a feeling this stuff would scorch like a son of a bitch if I allowed it to. I just have that feeling. Ooh, let's stir that. Stir, stir, stir. Add and stir. Don't let that sit on the bottom, folks. It's hot. It dissolved rather quickly. And it's not like the bottom of that pot still isn't super hot. But I feel like by cutting the flame, you're setting yourself up for success. And there's still plenty of water in this wort to maintain us. We're looking good. Okay. So we're just gonna continue that boil. And let it ride. Heck yeah. Here in about 5 minutes, we're gonna add our last hop addition, that little 3 gram packet of Columbus we have. That candy sugar is really gonna raise our gravity significantly. You know, in a beer that's supposed to come out between 1073 and 1077 original gravity, you already know there's gotta be a lot of sugar in that wort. That candy sugar I just poured in, I've never used candy sugar before. I've heard about it a lot, so it's kind of cool to be able to find it in a kit and use it. Really kick up your, let's see, so 1073 to 1077. I imagine with the pound and 4 ounces of DME we used, we probably would have been around like maybe 1047 or something like that. So from 1040-ish to 1073, that's a lot. Thank you, candy sugar. Of course, these are all approximations, but it gives you a lot of gravity, that's for sure. Looks like we got about a minute left. At the 5-minute mark, we're just adding the Columbus hops. We'll add these. It's only 3 grams. On the floor, right where they need to be, right? The wort's still boiling, so I'm not too concerned about bugs. Not really concerned at all, if I'm being honest. It's such a small amount of hops. That's crazy. 3 grams. 5 minutes. Get them in there. My 3 pellets or whatever that amounted to. Pretty cool. So we're gonna boil for the final 5 minutes. We're gonna terminate the boil and we're gonna cool down the wort to about 70 degrees so we can pitch the yeast. Okay. So I'm gonna let this go for the last 5 minutes. I'm gonna go rinse this off and then I'm gonna actually put it in the hot wort to start sterilizing it. I'm gonna use my actual sterilizer to sterilize this thing, but the hot wort is also gonna ensure that I don't get any funky stuff from it. Okay, so I'm gonna rinse this off, let this finish out. The next time you see me, I'm gonna take these to the backyard and cool off the wort. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, so now that the word's chilled down, it's time to start the magic show. Now it's time to start the magic show. We've had our fermenter sterilizing over here the whole time. I'm gonna scrub it out just a little bit. I've already done this, but it doesn't hurt to do it again. Okay. And then you know what's left. It's good to aerate our wort. So I'm not gonna siphon this or anything. I'm just gonna dump it directly into our little fermenter, okay? So, watch how hard this is. Okay, so I tried to keep a lot of that sludge out of it. Not a lot of it. The dregs that came at the very end, I kept that stuff out. I'm not too worried about any like sludge or solids in that wort, because after 7-10 days, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna rack it off to one of these for the secondary fermentation. Okay, so all the dregs will be left behind in that bucket and it won't matter, okay? And I'm not testing original gravity or anything like that. I don't really do that much anymore. This is a 2-gallon bucket and I probably got a gallon collected. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of water to it. I didn't add a lot, and it's really not necessary, but it'll just keep it from being so thick. And when I transfer it over to secondary, there will be more wort to transfer over, because I feel like I got a little too much boil off, okay? Which really isn't a problem. If you can see the level in that bucket, that's pretty good, okay? They want me to use, the note on this says, I'll only use a teaspoon of this yeast. Okay, so since they tell me to only use a teaspoon of this yeast, I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. We are gonna use a teaspoon-ish. We're gonna hold it over the fermenter as we pour it. A heaping teaspoon. And we're just gonna spread it over the surface. Okay. And I'm kind of a yeasty guy, so I'll add a little more for good measure. Okay. And then, just because I can, this has been sterilized the entire time. So I'm just gonna stir that in a little bit. Okay, you don't have to do that part, but yeast loves oxidation. Beer should be oxidized before adding the yeast in there. Okay, so we added some oxygen to it as we were shaking it in, stirring it in, okay. The last step. Pretty simple, straightforward, right? That's all she wrote. I'm gonna pop an airlock on it, and that's gonna be the brew day. Thanks for joining us, guys. This is the Raspberry Golden Ale. 8.4 to 8.9% alcohol. So we're gonna be within the 8 range, even though we didn't measure. It says 1073 to 1077 OG. I bet we came in around 1073 because I had a little DME left in the bag. That's okay. We're gonna be over 8% alcohol. And that's all we really care about. Okay, it's gonna taste great, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna pop an airlock on this thing, put it in the closet, and we'll see you real soon. Cheers, guys, thanks for brewing with me today, and have a great one. Cheers. It's been 1 week since we did this whole thing out here, made the Raspberry Golden Ale. Got it right here. It's been fermenting for a week now. The reason we're gonna put it into the secondary today, so all of the instructions you get if you do a Brewer's Best kit, all of the instructions you get recommend a secondary fermentation. Okay. So what the instructions say, now that we're nice and sterilized, is Brewer's Best recommends home brewers employ the practice of a 2-stage fermentation. Okay, so this is the first stage. This will allow your finished beer to have more clarity and an overall better, purer flavor. Well, the better, purer flavor can definitely be debated, but clarity, it's gotta help, right? We got some Trube in this bucket, I'm sure. Once we transfer it from this into the 1-gallon jug here, it should be clearer in the end than it is in there. Okay, we'll see. So we're gonna just basically bang it into this little jug. As soon as we get it in there, we're gonna let it ferment for 2 weeks roughly, and then we're gonna bottle it. And that's when we're gonna add the raspberry flavoring to it to make it the Raspberry Golden Ale. Okay, so actually, shoot, let's take a look inside here. Looks like a golden ale. Okay, let's transfer it to the jug, and that'll give us a better look at it too. Okay, so what we got is a gallon of golden ale, and it will be raspberry golden ale. Okay, so the reason, you'll see the reason that they want us to transfer out of this bucket, or Brewer's Best wants you to. There's some good stuff in there. I mean, regular yeast cake, right? We've all seen that before. So that's really it. Nothing else to it. You know what they say, nothing to it but to do it? Who said that? Ronnie Coleman? That sounds like a Ronnie Coleman. If you've ever seen Big Ron's workout videos. Sounds like the man himself. Okay. What do they say? That's all she wrote. You're looking at it, moved it over, and honestly, if you don't have a separate container, like if you only had a second bucket, you could transfer into the second bucket. You don't need the jug, okay? Any vessel that can accommodate an airlock or a blow-off hose, you can use as a secondary fermentation vessel. And even if you don't have anything and just want to let it ferment out in the bucket, that's fine too. On bottling day, we're gonna dump the, well, okay, so I guess this is a good thing about secondary when you're adding flavoring. I am gonna put this into this on bottling day, because I can put my hose here and just run it out into my bottles. But this allows me, when I rack it, I'm gonna dump all of my flavoring in here and stir it gently and then bottle from here. If you were just using your bucket, you'd have to eventually add the flavoring to the bucket, and then it would get in there with the tube and all of that, and it might be kind of hard to mix it around without stirring all that shit up. But it doesn't really matter. It's okay. Either way, it'll be fine. That's all I've got for today. I'm gonna sit here and finish my beer, and I'll see you in a couple weeks, week and a half here when I put this thing in bottles. Can't wait. Cheers, guys. So we made it to bottling day here with the raspberry golden ale. I already transferred it from our gallon jug here, where it sat for a couple weeks in the secondary, to our bottling bucket. Okay, now we all have our own ways and means of organization, but the stuff I need later on, like for a kit like this, I'll put back in the box. So I got some bottle caps. I got some natural raspberry flavoring that we're gonna add here at this point, okay? So I'm just gonna dump this into the golden ale to make it the raspberry golden ale. I'm gonna stir it around gently so as not to oxidate the beer. And I'm gonna bottle it. And that's really all that's left. Pretty simple, but it's kind of funny how you buy a kit like this and end up nursing it for about 2 months, you know? It's easy to make, but it's kind of involved. You know, you're definitely involved in the process. This is the 3rd time I've moved beer from one vessel to another. So although it is just a gallon, woo! Boy, that's some concentrated stuff. If I'm being honest, it smells like vodka. Okay, so I got my little spoon. Here we go. There went the raspberry flavoring. Smells like beer. Now it smells like raspberry beer. Okay, I think we got it in there. So you don't really need to see this part, I guess. We're just gonna bottle it up. That'll be it. Okay, next week, I'm gonna be back to taste this for you. It takes about 3 weeks to carbonate, but I'm posting this video a couple weeks after we're actually doing this. So by next week, Homebrew Wednesday, it'll be ready for a taste. Cheers, guys. Happy brewing, and we'll see you next week. Peace.